everyone. Good evening. We've got a few more seats left. If y'all want to come take a seat up front, don't be bashful. Councilwoman, this Councilwoman Tenyani Broughton is going to welcome us here, and look forward to having a great time tonight.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Tenyani Broughton. But more so, I am a 10th generation Pensacolan, and I really appreciate what we're doing here today because we came to solve a long, historic problem. Somebody just blew me a kiss. Not long ago, an interstate came between our community, dividing us intentionally. But we're here today to fix that. I know that because of that, that community became economically depressed, in a lot of ways, forgotten. We're here to remember. There's an icon term called Sankofa. The image is a bird looking backwards, carrying an egg facing forward. And the saying associated with it is not taboo to fetch what has been lost or what has been forgotten. Today is a day of memory. We're going to remember what was forgotten. And we join here today collectively to remember and honor. I honor my folks all the time. Like I said, I've been here forever. My people built Allen Chapel A&E, which is right on Villamar, right on along the interstate. And my great-great-grandfather and some of his friends and family members started a company called the Union Mercantile Real Estate Association. This was organized by a group of freedmen, and their intention was to sell property to other freedmen. And the area they were allowed to do it was the neighborhood under the interstate. So I stand before you as a representation of those people who were thinking of me long ago. Eventually, the interstate came and it was lost, and all of the wealth from those generations that had accumulated was also lost. So as we're planning how we want to see this, think about just that. How can we do what is right and repair a community? All of the businesses and the wealth that was lost because of that interstate, we're here to correct that today. And I thank you all for being a part of it. I welcome you all, and I hope we can come up with some good ideas. Have a good day.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Good evening, everyone. My name is Katie Fox. I'm a senior engineer with Geosyntec Consultants. And Geosyntec is the engineering design lead behind the Hollice T. Park expansion and redevelopment project. We're really grateful for your time and your attention here tonight, and it's nice to see a lot of familiar faces and also a lot of new faces as well, and we're excited to hear your feedback and for you to really be engaged in part of this design process. So just to kind of orient everybody for our time together tonight, this is just an overview of our agenda. We're breaking the session into 4 parts really, but generally the first half is going to be our design team presenting what this project is for us and the effort involved behind it. And then the second half of our time together will be you speaking directly to us. We want you to interact with our design team members and give us your feedback on what types of features and components you would like to see implemented into this project. So, all right, so starting out with part 1, who are we and what are we gonna do together? We've got our core design team here in front of you all tonight. As I mentioned, I'm with Geosyntec Consultants. We'll be the engineering lead on the project. We also have 2 landscape architecture firms with us, Valkenburgh Associates, that'll be working with the park visioning and design. We also have Jerry Pate Design, a local landscape architecture firm here in Pensacola, supporting the community engagement engagement and also the landscape design. And we also have impact campaigns who's supporting our outreach and community engagement efforts. And you're welcome to come up to any of us here that are here tonight to ask questions and provide your feedback. And our team is gonna take all of this and find ways to utilize your input in the design process. All right, so bringing it all together, what does this even mean? You know, I'm sure many of you are aware the city has put in a lot of significant and recent efforts into thinking thoughtfully about how the city moves forward. These goals right here are the 8 goals from the recently updated Strive to 35 strategic plan. And then there's also the city's most recent effort in the Equitable Development Framework Plan. And the Hollice T. redevelopment project is really the first design opportunity to take all of these efforts that the city has put forth for future planning and implement those into a real project that's going to be constructed. So it's our charge as the design team to be aware of these goals and the Equitable Development Framework Plan principles, and be sure that we're considering those and designing and implementing a solution that speaks directly to them. And also, you know, a lot of you have been here before, right? This is not the first time we're going through this process, and our team fully recognizes that. In fact, the idea of reimagining the Hollice T. Williams Park goes back to the early 2000s, and the East Side Neighborhood Plan is where it was first really kind of conceptualized. And there's been subsequent efforts since then with the Greenwork Framework Plan. There's an active transportation plan, Strive 35, the CRA redevelopment plan. And so really all of those are relevant to this project. They have various components that impact the park and the design directly, and others in a more indirect manner. But our team has been actively and aggressively reviewing all of the available information, and that is going to feed into our design process as well. So what does the project include? This is really a multifaceted, really incredible opportunity to achieve a lot of different goals and objectives. The 4 that you see up here today are really at the forefront of why we're doing this project. First and foremost, we want to make a great neighborhood park, but also a transformative regional amenity. We want there to be a place for everyone within the park, something for everyone to do, and to both pull from the local community, but then also have features that make people want to come to Pensacola and to see this transformative project that was implemented. Equally important is another objective of this project, which is to alleviate a lot of the historic flooding that this neighborhood and the local community has experienced over the last several decades. I likely don't have to name all of the storm events to all of you, and a lot of you were directly or indirectly impacted by the flooding that occurs within the Long Hollow area. So this project is an opportunity to really mitigate those issues, expand the stormwater management capabilities of the existing pond, look for opportunity to manage water in an aesthetically pleasing way within the park footprint, so it becomes an integral part of the park experience. And so that's our charge, is to come up with creative solutions to solve some of these really very real challenges that the community faces. Third, we're looking to have an incredibly collaborative engagement process, and that kicks off with all of you here tonight. We've met with a number of small groups throughout the day today. We have a couple more tomorrow, but we will be engaging you throughout the design process, and our hope is that you feel that you are an active piece of it, and that your voice is heard, and that we incorporate that feedback. We'll get it more into the public engagement process later, but there will be a period of feedback implementation, and then as we get more into the design process, we will be looking to more present the way we've taken your feedback and your input and implemented that into design. And last but not least, our team is doing an equity gap analysis of the surrounding area. So studying the local neighborhood, expanding that footprint to really understand what is lacking in this community. And the reason for this is we're hopeful that identifying ways that this community is less equitable will help feed into our design process. You know, our team will be providing the results of that study to the public so that you can help in that process. But the goal is to identify those gaps and figure out ways that the park can either directly or indirectly impact them. A good example is one evaluation of equity is safe access to certain facilities. And so as an example, as it exists right now, it's very hard to traverse north and south along the park or east and west with safe pedestrian modalities. You know, I've personally seen a motorized wheelchair utilize the sidewalk, then get into the road because there is no sidewalk, cross the tracks, and then get back onto the sidewalk. So really identifying where those gaps exist will help us as designers implement solutions that can directly address that. So moving on to what area are we actually looking at from a design perspective. On this map here, you'll see two boundaries, yellow and a pink. And so our design process really has two major components to it. The first being a visioning process, and the second being a detailed design process. The visioning boundary you see here in yellow is the maximum extent of the park limits. And the intent behind the visioning process is for our team and you all to really think big. This is an opportunity to develop a long-term master plan for what this park redevelopment looks like. And it's not going to be implemented right away. This could be a 10, 15, or 20-year implementation of what the visioning plan presents. So again, that's going to encompass a larger boundary. And then as we move into our detailed design process, the visioning plan is going to inform our team on which area gets designed and constructed first. So this project will need to be implemented in phases, and we'll explain a lot of the funding mechanisms that are currently in place to you all tonight as well. All right, so here's an overview of our project schedule. You can see we're right here at our first public engagement. Yeah.
Whoever has a blue Subaru parked on the sidewalk in the emergency lane needs to move your car. Blue Subaru. Yeah, thank you. Continue.
Sorry about that. I drive a blue Subaru, so I was very for a minute. Anyways, back to the project schedule. So as you all can see, we're right here at our first public engagement event, right here at the end of January. The public engagement process will occur throughout design, and you'll see a total of 5 public engagement meetings presented here on our schedule. We are planning for 6. We're kind of leaving that 6th one, trying to gauge exactly when it will make sense to come back and present the final design to the community. Our team actually started at the end of November, and the work we've done so far has really been focused along the lines of data collection that's in the field, desktop analyses, and all of that research is kind of feeding us the information we need in order to develop this visioning plan, which will in turn support the design process. So I guess just summing up, what does the design timeline look like? We'll be designing throughout 2025 so that we can be prepared to go to construction in 2026. And the reason behind that is the city has a number of grants that they've already been approved for that have timelines associated with them. So we want to be sure that we get the design completed in a manner to where the city can then go to construction and utilize the funds that they have in place for this project. All right, so this might be one of the most important pieces of this project, and this is speaking to how the project's actually going to be funded. And this goes for both design and construction of the amenities. So first and foremost, many of you have probably seen that the city was successful in receiving a $25 million CDBG grant for the redevelopment of this project. And so what does that really cover? I think the best way to explain how this project will be implemented is if you think of it in layers. Certain grants allow for construction of certain components. And so we have to be sure that we are implementing a design and features that can utilize the grant funds. So the CDBG is purely focused on stormwater related improvements and also park landscaping improvements. Stormwater covers a wide variety of options. That can be through infrastructure. It can also include paving materials, landscaping, plants that contribute to the reduction in stormwater runoff and support the overall improvement in flood mitigation. The city also has a grant from the Natural Resource Damage Assessment. That's for $5 million, and this grant applies to the northern end of Hollice T. Park, the linear park portion. And this is to construct features that will contribute to stormwater quality improvements. Not to get too much into the weeds, from a functionality perspective, but a lot of the runoff from the watershed that contributes to this area discharges directly to Pensacola Bay without treatment. And so this project is an opportunity to improve and enhance that. On the upper right-hand corner, most recently, the city received approval on the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Grant Program. This is for another $5 million. I would think of this as another layer to the improvements for this project. And what does this cover? This covers pedestrian safety improvements and landscaping and other features that kind of steer away from the, core infrastructure stormwater improvements. So this is a layer that provides an opportunity to really enhance the park experience. And last but not least, the city currently has a fourth grant that they were approved for from the Transportation Administration. And this is to design and construct a multimodal pathway through the park. So in a north to south orientation. So you can really kind of think of that as connecting the park south and into the downtown area. All right, and with that, I'm gonna pass it off to Brent to talk a little bit about stormwater.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about stormwater. It's important to understand the challenges that we're faced with, and this is such an important part of this project. I think we need to spend a bit of time just going over what the existing challenges are. So this presents a topographic study of the project area and the surrounding watershed. So the yellow border indicates the project extents, and then the colorized portion you see here is the total watershed that drains through the park vicinity. It is a relief map, so in terms of color gradation, you see from brown to green is high to low. And you can see the extent of the depressional nature adjacent to the park area. Historically, this area was known as Long Hollow, and next slide, please. I think we all have experiences from recent events. Hurricane Sally most recently in 2020, going back to 2014, the 500 to 1,000 year rain event, and then we had another significant event in 2012. Next slide. This is a hydraulic study of the project area. It just shows you how big of an area within the city of Pensacola that drains through this project area. Just upstream of the park area, there's over 1,000 acres that funnel through the project vicinity. This represents a flood map with flood depths. And as engineers, we're looking at this, and our team is presented with a unique opportunity to really engineer a system that will alleviate flooding in and around the park vicinity. Now, it's not going to address all the flooding downtown. It's certainly not going to solve 100% of the issues, but this is certainly a step in the right direction.
I have to move this way down. So some of you may know that we were actually supposed to be here last week, and I got really excited about your snow because I thought that we could put in sledding hills. Maybe not. So what is a visioning plan? It's a blueprint for the near future and the longer future. And probably the easiest way to think about it is you're designing your own home. You want 4 bedrooms, three baths, a recreation room. But maybe not all of that is possible at first. And so what you do is you basically plan so that you don't make any missteps in the beginning, so that later on you can add on those pieces as you get funding. And that's how it will work here. So in the beginning, we know the amount of money that we have, we know the time period that we have, and we know the problems that we have to solve. And so in the visioning plan, we're gonna look at that and beyond. And really, when we think about a visioning plan, we're talking about 15 to 20 years out when everything is done. So we need your help to think forward about what you want today and what you want tomorrow, and also the issues that you need to have us address, good or bring up things that are great about the park right now. Oh, I'm sorry, Sam, go back. So how are we going to show you the visioning plan? Well, we're model builders, we're landscape architects, and one of the major things that we do is we build a lot of parks. And in order to do that, you all need to understand, and we need to understand sort of the physical extent, how things are going to be arranged, and the best way to do that is a model. Something that we can all stand around and look at and play with the pieces. We don't build precious models, we build models that people can actually have a hand in. And then we're also going to use graphics that show you perspectives of what the character of the park is. It's not going to be an exact replica of what might happen in the end, but it's certainly going to bring across the character and the ambiance and the features of the park so that you understand what we are delivering to you. So now for part 2, which is really about the public engagement process. Right.
So first and foremost, what we want to convey is that we know the elephant in the room that this has been visited before. We know that there's a possibility for fatigue, that you've answered these same questions once, twice, maybe 3 times before. But what we do want to convey is that we are not throwing all that input and that data away. We're building and expanding upon what we've previously learned through previous consultants. So a few of these that we're looking at right here through public input are a few of the high points. There's much more information, but in showing these, what we're hoping is that it will spur your mind to give us some more ideas once we break off and we give some more information later in this meeting. So I won't run through each individual one, but a lot of these were about including the community that is a stakeholder itself in the planning and envisioning, which is part of this process, what we're doing now. Economic opportunity, obviously that's important to us, culture and history, and we want to integrate the lost neighborhood that Councilwoman was speaking about previously. Housing and economic opportunity obviously is always at the forefront of our mind. We definitely do not want to impact that in a negative way. And then design input that we previously received, this may seem repetitive, but to us, it's very important that the programming of the park that's visioned through this master planning or the visioning for the portion of the process, you tell us what you want, you tell us what you want to see in your park, but these are some things that we previously heard from input on previous surveys. Encourage free and affordable park activities, programming, events, parking. We've heard different inputs, but we want to make sure that what you desire to be in your park, because this is not our park, this is your park. I live here, but it is your park. So please give us all the input that you can possibly think of. If it could be parking, it could be clear visibility, sight lines, security. We've heard security is a big factor. So what does that mean to you? So as we break off, I'm mentioning all these so that we can hopefully spur some creative thoughts that you guys can give us some great feedback on.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to, not a break, sorry, but I'm going to take a picture. So all you guys smile. Standing room only. We're going to document this. Great. Yeah, back row, wave your hands. All right, thank you. All right, good stuff. You're all going to be on social media tomorrow. You look great. You look great. It's okay. So I want to talk really quickly about the stakeholder and community outreach. So this is a really important project, not just for the neighborhood, but for the community, and we think it has the potential to be a kind of a transformative project for the region and really set a precedent for how other communities can do this similar type of work. So again, with the concept of layers, we like to look at the people that we want to have engaged in this project as far as layers. So, the first group is the on-site stakeholders. Those are the folks who are on the park already or right next to it. It's the Upward Intuition Community Garden, it's the Rattlers, the Pensacola Police Department, the Parks and Rec Department, the Cecil Hunter Pool. Those are folks who are on the park every day, who have, brick and mortar presence on the park. So we want to be talking with all of those entities. The next group is we kind of put the other layer on is the neighborhood stakeholders. That's many of you who live in the neighborhoods surrounding the park. And that includes a lot of different entities. It also includes, some of the housing communities, some of the community center groups, small businesses, mom and pop shops. So that's sort of the second layer. And the third layer is what I call the community stakeholders. And that's the sort of the broader circle. That's all the congregations and synagogues and churches in the area. That's the nonprofit groups. It's the advocacy groups, like Pensacola, the First City Arts Center. So we really want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to be a part of this project. Next slide. Cool. So if you haven't already, feel free to grab this QR code. It'll take you to our website, which we are continuing to add more content to and to build out. We've got a survey there. How many of you have filled out the survey? Oh, there's a lot of you that haven't. Okay, so before you go home tonight, or not while I'm talking, but QR code this and take the survey. It takes about 5 minutes. We don't ask any really personal questions. You don't have to tell us, that you like long walks or, poetry or anything like that. But we really want your feedback. That's the best way for us to capture and document what you want in this project. Next slide. So to dig in a little deeper on the schedule, we're right now in this project kickoff of the visioning phase. As Katie mentioned, we started in December with some research and planning, and right now we are at the outreach and engagement kickoff. You guys are the first ones in on the ground floor. We're running fast through January, and we had a question earlier when we were speaking to the senior citizen group here is, why don't you have anything to show us? Well, we're not going to design something without you. So tonight is about hearing from you, learning from you, and then when we come back in February, we're gonna have some stuff to show you based on what you told us tonight, based on what we've heard from the surveys, based on what we've heard from the stakeholder groups. That's gonna be where we bring to you our sort of initial design. And we want you to pick us apart. We want you to say, hey, this is great, I love this, I hate this, oh, here's one thing I didn't think of. So we're gonna have a very sort of iterative and layered process. We're gonna come back in March, and that's gonna be the part where we start to really put the meat on the bones of the vision plan. And that's where we really, again, want your feedback. We're gonna call and respond each time, right? We're gonna hear from you, and we're gonna relay back what we heard from you in a visual sense. Next slide. Now, once we get through this visioning process, that's when the technical folks here who use a lot of big words and have lots of really cool design tools start to really put the project together. This is when the vision plan gets finalized, and that's when really, once you get to that 30% part, for those of you who are in real estate or construction, 30% is when people like me normally are like, okay, I don't understand anything after this part, because you're getting into all sorts of really technical details. But that's the part that's really important, and you will continue to be informed, and we'll continue to update you and show you these plans. So every step along the way, you have an opportunity to tell us, are we still on the right track? Next slide. So we want you to stay in touch. If you haven't checked out our website, again, it's htwpensacola.com. We're continuing to add more content. All of these slides we'll put on the website, so you'll be able to check back and refer to it. And we'll also have a recording of the audio so you can hear all these wonderful people and all of my bad jokes. We're gonna continue to update this content as we go forward, and we hope you'll continue on this journey with us. We're gonna turn it back over to Laura.
You are a hard act to follow. So, what makes this park unique? Thank you. When we begin the design process, the first thing we do is we've been to town several times before tonight, and we crawl all over the site and look at what we learn about the site. We learn about the physical aspects of it, the neighborhood, the scale, you know, what is really working and what's great about the park already. And sometimes we also find out things that are hard. And I've given that task to Scott in my office because I don't like to deliver bad news. Go ahead. So one of the things that's really terrific about this park is that we have an opportunity to honor the service and leadership of Hollice T. Williams. Many parks don't have that kind of history that allows them to really bring those things that he felt so strongly about and incorporate those into the design so that you can feel on a daily basis really the dedication and the thoroughness that he brought to all of his work. And of course, along with that, part and parcel with that, is celebrating the history of the lost neighborhood, and the councilwoman talked about that very movingly when we began. And we take this very seriously. It's something that the neighborhood it really tore the neighborhood apart. You all have put things back together, but we're gonna have the last laugh, right? We're gonna make this a park that's really great, that is going to repair all of these things. Go ahead. So, what are some of those attributes of the park? It's big. Oh my God, this is a big piece of land, 110 acres. So that if you look at all of those parks, those are parks in Pensacola, which we've put up there so that you can understand the scale of this park. If you added up all of that acreage, it would fit in 1/3 of the park area. So your park is gonna be all of those parks gathered together ×3. So it's a huge opportunity. Next. The good news is we have a really strong neighborhood by the park, all around it, all sides of it. And it's close. It's gonna be within an easy walking distance. We've shown you the 5 and 10 mile radius out from the park. By the way, we're in blue. That's where we are now. And so that's gonna underline just how much we really need to make getting to the park a really safe prospect. Another good thing is people already use it. This morning we met with the seniors at the Cobb Center, and I was surprised to find that 60% of them use the park regularly. And it's not in great shape. So the fact that they seek it out really speaks volumes, I think, for the community. So, you know, we already have the community gardens, the skate park, the pool, and the practice fields. This is a bonus. We have 15 acres of stormwater collection area. Long Hollow Pond. And you could say, well, wait a minute. You know, is this gonna be an engineering project? Absolutely not. It is a tremendous opportunity. And right now, most people don't even know that it exists because it's fenced and it's got a lot of dense vegetation and it's kind of raised up. So you don't even realize now that it has the potential to be a tremendous amenity. And these are the kinds of visions that we have right now of how that stormwater collection could actually become an amenity and a benefit for the park. This is a project of ours at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, exact same problem. They had to figure out how to collect stormwater throughout the site. And we made a stormwater pond for them. And this is what we're aiming for. And then that highway, not the best thing. But the good news is that it provides constant shade. We noticed that the moment that we got here, we basically walked underneath the highways. It is hot here. And so to have that as a place for shelter and shade is really a benefit. And we're gonna turn it into that. And so now Scott gets the hard part, which is to talk about the park's challenges.
Thank you, Laura. So yeah, the park does have challenges, but we really believe those challenges can yield the most unique and creative solutions, so we want to walk through those with you. Infrastructure subdivides the park. It's the highway, it's the adjacent roads, it's the rail line, it's the stormwater infrastructure. Our first challenge is to figure out how to get people to the park safely and then how to move through it safely. So it's something that we have data to cross-reference, but we also need your stories. Where do you feel unsafe? Where have you seen accidents? How can we make it a safer park perimeter? The highway has an oversized presence. You see it everywhere you go. You feel it everywhere you go. What can we do with vegetation and landform to mitigate that and give you an experience of nature in a passive park in this environment? And cars really dominate the park experience right now. It kind of feels like you're always on the edge, you're always next to roads. We would love to create spaces that feel enclosed, that feel comfortable, and feel removed from that street grid. And noise and air quality are issues. A lot of people are so used to the noise, they've told us today it really doesn't bother them, but when you've lived with something for so long, you just kind of accept it. We'd like to figure out ways to mitigate that noise and to improve air quality. Nighttime lighting is limited. We've all talked about how hot it can be in the summer months. Some of the best times to be in the park is at night. So how can we make sure that it is well lit, psychologically inviting, and a comfortable space in the evening? And then finally, there's just not enough plants and the site is hot. So how can we increase the vegetation? How can we create more canopy and really celebrate the ecologies of Pensacola in the park design as well?
Okay, we're done talking. This is your moment. So we have some stations set up around the room. One of the first things we'd like you to do is right behind you, behind that lineup of people, is a map of the park. We have stickers and Post-it notes. We want you to put a dot where you live on here so that we understand sort of who we're talking to. And it's something that we will bring back multiple times so that people can continue to add to that. Next. We also have 4 boards set up. We want your thoughts on things like play and recreation and park character. I can't remember the other one, but you'll tell me. And so we want you to, we have a system of, it's like a stoplight. Green is thumbs up, yellow is maybe, and red is no way, don't like it. And then last, we have 2 boards that provide you a place to just write in your thoughts. One of them has some prompting questions. The other one is blank, and that one's over here. And we truly want you to write whatever you think is important for us to know, good, bad, or ugly. Is that it, Sam? And again, another pitch for Travis is,
It's not just mine.
you're right, it's mine.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
So again, do the survey if you have it. And then we also have on the, where are these located? Okay, over on this table is Xerox. Some people don't really want to communicate through words and other ways, and so we have given you a place where you can draw, and we even have crayons just to get you in the mood. Where you can draw, or you can take this home to your kids and have them draw, and there's some instructions on it that you can look at. And again, a pitch to stay in touch with us. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. Tremendous showing. It just says so much about your community. So with that, lights up.